Welcome back. Today we're going to be making a Great Depression era type food, bread and butter pickles, which we are going to end up canning. These pickles were something that they had to always do with their leftover cucumbers to survive winter. They would throw stuff in. Bread and butter pickle sandwich is better than not having any food during the winter. So what you're going to end up needing are cucumbers. Now this isn't a normal cucumber. This is called a pickling cucumber or a Persian. It's basically a English cucumber or a mini cucumber. It's small. For this recipe we're using about 2 pounds, give or take a couple. And it's simple. When we have our cucumbers, you're going to make sure you cut down just that right there, just that right there. So we're going to take our cucumber, take that, and we have our onion and we have our salt. We're going to take it and just want to cut off about 1/16 to 1/4 of an inch of the ends, and we're just going to discard them. This is a great time to start your knife skills, and you take your time. You don't need to rush it, and just start cutting. And try to resist the urge from eating these, because I'm telling you, you're going to want to eat them. Cut them nice and thin and toss them in a bowl. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end up cutting through the 2 pounds of cucumbers, and I will see you in just a second. Okay, so I just cut off the end here. This here is the root. You're not always as lucky to have this piece right here, but there's an enzyme right in this end of the cucumber, which actually will break down your cucumber over time. So it's always important to make sure that you cut the ends for this exact reason. This one reason right here is for make sure your pickles don't get broken down. Get rid of it, because if it's in the jar, it will break down your pickles. So I'm going to finish cutting this one up, and then we're going to move on to our onion. We're going to use 1 whole or half, depending on how much you really like onions. It's okay for this recipe, because canning is all about acidity. I said that word right. And sometimes too much onion, sometimes too little. So onion is simple. It's just a yellow onion. Just slice it in half. Now if you really like to see more onion videos, I do have a French onion video that I can link in the description. I'm going to slice the ends here and here. Actually, I'm going to put something in the top right hand side of your screen that you can click, and we're just going to peel this. And as you watch that one, you will see that I am okay with losing more than one layer of an onion. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Oh, there's a little bit hanging on there. Just get my knife. Oh, there he goes. Bye-bye. Clean off our working space. Onion. Now, normally I would cut it boom, 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 boom this way. What we're going to do is we're going to cut this in half one more time. Take it here. It's a good size. And we're just going to slice it this way. Just going to make thin slices. All the way down. Now that I'm here, I'm going to plop it down, and we're just going to finish it. And depending on how much onion we get out of this, break this up into the bowl, make sure that we can see how much onion we actually have. You can also add in, if you'd like, a red bell pepper, just cut it into strips. Yeah, we could add in the other half now. Looks okay. can add in, oh, I'll say another half an onion. That'll be good. So I will just take this and away it goes. Always make sure you have a clean working space, especially with canning. Make sure everything has been sterilized and cleaned before you start, and your hands are also clean. So I'm only going to put in this last half, so let's that right in there, put that right in there. Now the next step is simple and it's easy. Here I have 2 tablespoons of salt. Now it is very, cannot stress how important this is, that you use either canning salt made for canning or you use kosher salt. You can't use iodine, iodine table salt. There's more chemicals in it. You just need pure salt. Now, you don't want all those chemicals and chlorine and all that other stuff that's in it to leach in. So all we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're just going to sprinkle it all over. And what this is going to do is it's going to just get all that moisture out of the cucumbers and the onions. You're just going to mix in there, mix that salt around, get everything coated in that salt. And then the only thing left to do is put some plastic wrap on it. I'm going to cover it. And this is going to go into the refrigerator for 3 hours. So I'm going to go throw this in there and I'll see you in 3 hours and let this go to work. Alright, so our cucumber onion mixture with the salt has been in the refrigerator for 3 hours, and what we're going to do, we're going to come over to the sink and we need to drain all that liquid out. Now, it's simple. You'll see all that liquid. I want to show you. See how much liquid comes out of that? Just drop these all into a colander. Now, some recipes you may find online will have you wash them to get that rinse that salt off. All we are going to do is take a paper towel and we're just going to dab the top of them. You want to just get some of that, some more moisture off. Just get in there with the paper towel and try to dab some of that moisture off. We're going to leave that on. We want to leave that salt on. That way we have some taste still in there. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to leave these in here, let these drain out even more. What we're going to do in the meantime is going to take a pot, and in this pot we are going to add in 2 cups of granulated sugar. We have roughly 3/4 teaspoon of turmeric. That'll give it that nice color that you know of bread and butter pickles. We have a tablespoon of mustard seeds. Now these are all ingredients that your grandparents had laying around the house during the end of summer. Here we have a teaspoon of celery seeds. Toss those in. And this next one is something you need to be very, very careful with. This is ground nutmeg. Now, if you add too much in, it can overpower everything. So be very careful, be very precise, because if you add too much in, you'll know, and it won't be nice. So we're going to add that in. And to that, we need to add in our acidity. Said that word, right?
Acidity?
Thank you. And here we're going to add in 3 cups of white vinegar. 5%. I'm going to throw that in. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to bring it over to the stove and we're going to bring it to a boil. Okay, so we've now brought our mixture to a boil. The sugar has been fully dissolved. What we're going to do is we're going to turn this off. And now we're going to take this and we are going to bring this over, and what we're going to do is we're going to start making our cans. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start making our pickles. We're going to take our canning supplies. This here is a jar lifter. This is just to take our pre-warmed jars out of the water. I think we're going to need about 4 jars this time. So here's this one. Just going to take this and you put it on here. And careful, they're just going to be warm. Upside down so we can let them dry out a little bit. So I'll do this to all the jars. Like this one still has a whole bunch of water in it. Now it's important that we keep the jars warm when canning. There is a lot to know about canning, but that will be in a video coming up next month to understand how to can, the different canning processes, and the dangers of canning gone wrong, which is pretty serious. But for now, we are just going to worry about getting our cucumbers into pickles. We're going to need this later. So, we'll let these dry out a little bit. Our lids here have been washed and sterilized. Warm water, soap. I'm going to just put my can lids upside down on a clean towel. Bands, don't really need to worry too much about them. Now what we're going to be doing is a raw packed. So what a raw packed is, make sure I have my towel here, is we're going to be taking raw vegetables into a warm liquid, that mixture we just boiled. So we're going to take these and we're going to have our funnel. And we're just going to take it and we're just going to use our hands and we are going to pack these into the jar. You want a nice, good, firm pack. Try to keep it as even as you can. Try to get those in there. Now I'm assuming by looking at this we're going to fill up maybe 4 jars. Now I like to keep an extra jar into the canning just so these don't tip over. Get these in there deep. Canning supplies, you can just use your hands for this and a funnel, but you need what's called headspace at the top of the jar so we have a proper seal, because it's all about getting a proper seal. So let's get those in there. Oh, we might be able to put some more into this. Let's get some in there. So maybe one more. Yep, and then I'll do this last one. Yep. 4 jars. Okay, so we have our 4 jars. Let's grab our warm liquid, our pickling solution. Now my My wonderful canning top here has these little markers on here. These little markers are telling us how much head space to have. Now, for these bread and butter cucumbers, we need to leave a half an inch, which, for good reference, is right here. It's the first rim on the jar. Now, I'm going to do this with this on simply because I want to create as less mess as possible. The only bad thing about this one is I can't see. Okay, let's leave it right about there. Now, before I continue, I'm going to show you the next step. You can use many different things. I use the same tool every time. This here is chopstick, and that's very important that we get air bubbles out. So you just stick it down the side and you press inwards, and it will release some air bubbles. And what this is going to do is make sure we have the proper amount of air and spacing in there. And then you're going to take a look again. And since I did release some air bubbles, it's looking, get it in there, like I'm just short. So what we do is right like that. Perfect. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take a nice towel, wipe the rim, and I'm going to put this right on. You see, hear that click? That means that there's no seal. Very loose, fingertip tight. So I'm not yanking down, I'm just going down very softly. Now you could take this and throw it straight into the refrigerator because you technically are done. Let them sit overnight. But what I'm going to be doing is canning. So I'm going to sit here and fill the 3 of these jars up. See you in a minute. Alright, so I had just finished up my last can. Filled it. My water should be at a wonderful 140 for the moment. This isn't the right thermometer, but have a thermometer with you so you can gauge the temperature. I'm going to start at 140, but then I'm going to bring it up to about 180, 185, and I want to hold it there. That way, there it goes. And shipping go. Alright, so we're going to hold it at 185. We're going to process these jars for 30 minutes. Now, USADA, all these acronyms, guidelines say that anything that is under 10 minutes, you need to boil jars, use a whole bunch of process, like I said. Keep an eye out in the top right-hand corner, this corner for you, for an info card for a link to that video coming up in the future. So I'm going to get these in, and see you in about 30 minutes. And just like that, we have bread and butter pickles. Now what you're going to do is just keep these in the refrigerator, let them sit, let them develop those flavors. The longer you leave them, the more stronger those flavors will become. At this point, I'm going to show you these 2 different cans here. This one here, when I push on the top, can't really hear anything. This one, we hear a little bit of a pop. That one's not done yet. That has to go in. I still have some cans over here being processed and going through. But a good way to check the seal, because this ring, it looks good with the ring on. Just take that off, and with your fingers, you're just going to pull around the edge very lightly, It should be a seal. You should be able to hold it up by the seal of the can. Put this on, date the top, or you can make these nice, wonderful bands, and you just wrap them around on there, sticky tape, and then you would have a product for you to have, good to gifts. Write the date. These are good for 1 to 3 years, depending on where they're left. And just like that, you have bread and butter pickles. I want to thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Hit that bell notification to be notified whenever I have a new video out. And until then, keep out for new videos and take care. Bye-bye.